Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I genuinely believed I was making the right decision. I kept telling myself it was harmless, that it was reasonable, even mature. I went to stay with friends from my past, never imagining that my husband would be waiting for me when I returned. That single moment shifted my life in ways I'm still struggling to put into words. My name is Emily. I'm 40, and until that weekend, I thought I understood the contours of my marriage. I had been married to Paul for 8 years. We lived in a quiet Virginia town, the kind where neighbors greet each other on the street and weekends pass slowly. Paul was steady, dependable, and gentle. He never yelled, never made me feel unsafe. Yet, over time, our marriage had settled into a silence that often felt empty to me. Before Paul there was Erin, my first serious love. We were young in our 20s, consumed by intense emotions, big dreams, and endless possibilities. We ended things because our paths were diverging, not because our feelings had faded. Over the years we kept in touch sporadically, birthday messages, occasional check-ins, nothing more. At least that's what I told myself. One evening Erin reached out, saying he was going through a difficult period and needed someone he knew well to talk to. That old sense of responsibility stirred inside me. I told Paul about Erin wanting to chat. He didn't love the idea, but he trusted me. That trust, as I would later realize, would come at a cost. When Erin invited me to spend the weekend with him, I hesitated. I told myself I could stay at a hotel, but he insisted the guest room was fine. I convinced myself that as friends, boundaries mattered and that I was in control. I told Paul the first was going to support an old friend in need. He nodded, kissed my forehead, and wished me a safe drive. That should have been my stop sign. The drive there was long, quiet, and filled with rehearsed boundaries in my mind, what I would say, what I wouldn't allow. I truly believed I had control. When I arrived, Erin greeted me with the familiar warmth of someone I had once loved. He looked older, calmer, but the connection sparked instantly. We talked for hours that first night, about the past, our regrets, the roads we hadn't taken. He apologized for things he had never acknowledged before. I cried without realizing it. He asked if I was happy. I said yes, yet my chest felt tight, heavy with something I couldn't name. That night I slept in the guest room. Nothing physical happened, but my mind wandered endlessly, imagining the life we might have had if choices had been different. That alone felt like a betrayal. The next day we went for coffee and walked for hours. Erin admitted he still cared about me. I reminded him I was married. He nodded, but his eyes told a different story. By Sunday morning I knew I had crossed a line, not with actions but with my heart. I packed and left, feeling both relief and dread. Driving home, anxiety gnawed at me, but I resolved to be honest with Paul. I thought truth would mend everything. When I arrived, his car was already in the driveway, a surprise. Inside, Paul stood silently in the living room, calm but distant. He didn't hug me or ask about my trip. He only said, "How was your weekend?" I started explaining. Nothing happened, we talked, I wanted to help a friend. Paul listened quietly, then dropped the words that pierced me like ice. "I know you stayed with him." My heart sank. He told me he had checked phone records, that intuition led him to the truth. "I trust you," he said softly, "but trust doesn't mean ignoring reality." I tried to defend myself, repeating, "We're just friends," as if it could shield me. Paul shook his head. "You don't stay overnight with an ex if you're truly committed." His words hurt because they were true. He told me he had spent the weekend alone, reflecting on our marriage, on the distance that had grown between us, on my emotional leanings toward someone else. "I didn't wait for you to explain," he said. "I waited to see if you'd come back choosing me." I cried, confessing that it was a mistake, that I never meant to hurt him, that I sought closure. Paul looked at me not with anger but sadness. "Closure isn't found by reopening old doors," he said. "It comes from choosing which door to close." He revealed he had packed a bag for himself but waited, for honesty. For the first time I shared everything. My doubts, the restlessness, the fears of settling, the comparisons I had never voiced. Paul listened, then said something that reshaped my understanding of love. "You didn't betray me by visiting your ex," he said. "You betrayed us by letting someone else become the place you ran to emotionally." He admitted he was hurt but also exhausted, tired of being the safe choice instead of the chosen one. He didn't demand a divorce, he asked for space. I moved to the guest room and the house felt foreign, cold. Over the following weeks we began counseling, cautiously and slowly. Paul admitted he wasn't sure if trust could ever fully return, but he wanted to try. I cut all contact with Erin, no explanations, no goodbyes. From this experience I learned a harsh truth: staying friends with an ex isn't always harmless. Sometimes it's about unresolved emotions we avoid confronting. And sometimes the person waiting for you isn't seeking revenge. They just want to see if you will finally choose them. I almost lost my marriage chasing clarity from the past. Only later did I realize the closure I truly needed wasn't with an old love, it was with myself. Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers.